So I've been playing Yakuza 5. Okay, just kidding. I'm not actually Thor High Heels as much as I want to be, but he's great. Before we actually move on to the bombastic, taxi riding, bear hunting, dancing, baseball playing action thriller that is Yakuza 5, I need to address why I'm skipping over 4. Yakuza 4 is an interesting topic to discuss as it is ironically the least interesting entry in the series in my opinion. It sits in that awkward middle ground between the broken beauty of 3 and the over-the-top craziness of 5. I really enjoyed it. I feel like the concept of having multiple characters was really fresh at the time, and for what it's worth, the story had some really great highlights, but that doesn't mean it's gonna be on the top of my list anytime soon. Even Yakuza 3, which pretty much everyone and their grandma criticizes for its combat, me included, had a much more emotional and interesting narrative. This video was originally going to be a simultaneous Yakuza 4 and 5 retrospective, but Yakuza 5 did a lot more for me than I realized, so I thought it was only fair to dedicate a whole video to its amazingness. You see this? This is why I play video games. Playing Yakuza 5 feels next gen. It is next gen. Maybe it's the title screen, the heavy movement, the intricate but small level design, or even the flashy install screen if you're playing on older hardware, but something about it just screams like PlayStation 3 to me, and I love it. Of course, you play as the legendary Kazuma Kiryu, in the beginning at least. The get-out-of-jail-free card of the Tojo clan that gets called out when there is a problem to beat the ever-living crap out of the enemies. The fact that he's now a taxi driver makes no difference whatsoever. While 3's combat was downright bad and 4 played it safe, 5's gameplay is some of the most fun I've had in recent entries. It's Yakuza 0 good, it's Kiwami 2 good, and that's really saying something. It's seeing the team at Ryuga Gotoku Studios reach their true potential, and it's fucking amazing. I love all the new additions to the combat, like the climax heat moves, Dragon Spirit, although I didn't really use it that much, Akiyama's launch strike, which is just plain badass, and Saijima's throw, which is called tiger puppetry, I guess. Plus, although I love the other games, but sorry, 5 has the best heat actions period. You don't know the sense of joy I felt when I first saw this. Now, for some reason during this time, my boy Nagoshi got the fetish to have as many playable characters as a number of the title, which only lasted for 2 games. Couldn't do it, huh? Couldn't do it, you fucking puss. Which means there are 5 playable characters in this game. That's why after Kiryu, we switch to Saijima, who's at prison again. Saijima, like always, is the motivational speaker of the bunch, and honestly, I can screenshot every single sentence he says. Whether he's talking about dreams, not giving up, or wanting to be with the people he loves, it's just so wholesome, man. They really made it clear why he's such a suitable candidate to later be a top Tojo patriarch. That charisma, kindness, and doing this has really made him a top tier character for me. And while we're on the topic of gameplay, playing as Saijima is being constantly at beast mode, and although I love beast, there's a reason it was never the primary one in 0 and 1. It's heavy, it's bulky, and it takes a while for you to get used to. Just pray that in the beginning stages there are some bicycles or stuff lying around, or that fight's gonna be a whole lot longer. I just love how Kiryu's story is about a parent distancing himself from his children as not to put them in danger or let them chase their dreams, and with Saijima they said fuck it, go to karaoke with a ghost. But yeah, in terms of plot, Saijima probably has the most wild story in my opinion. Like, Kiryu, taxi driving minigame, okay. Haruka, dancer, so dancing minigames. Saijima, ex-convict, fighting a fucking bear. Words cannot describe how crazy it is that Saejima decides that a shotgun is ineffective against the bear and uses his fists. It's peak Yakuza crazy. No, not even that. It's peak Ryogotoku craziness, and I'm all here for it. Oh, and also, side note, I'm not too crazy about Saijima's prison missions. Sure, the prison break's cool and all, but endlessly mashing X just to hear someone saying it's freezing in the middle of winter is not really gripping.
大阪蒼天堀にある脇道、この閑静な脇道を走り抜ける。
Okay, that's all you need to know about Haruka's segment. Now, Akiyama basically exists as a big fuck you to anyone who's ever said a man in his 40s can throw someone up into the air, kick them to death, grab them with his legs mid-air and hurl them back to the enemies below. Okay, wait a minute, I have something I need to confess. When I was watching the new Lost Judgments gameplay, I was kinda put off by how unrealistic it looks and kept making fun of it to my friends, and honestly, I'm really ashamed because are you kidding me? I'm all for this crazy combat. Besides, you can destroy a grandma in a dance battle, so win-win. Now, remember when I said Saejima has the worst combat in the game? Wait, I didn't really say that, I actually quite like the combat. Well, I was lying back there because Shinada has the worst combat in the game. Okay, I'm just kidding, but it does feel tedious, like most aspects of the game at this point. After pouring 30 or so hours into Yakuza 5, the monotony creeped up on me during the Haruka Akiyama segment, but it was over before I could really notice it. Now though, the same formula was being repeated once again, with the same characters reappearing, the same dialogue, the same branching sub-stories, and you get it. I just feel so bad for Shinada, man. His whole arc is just a giant L. He's a great character and would have been a great addition to the story if it wasn't so grand with so many different elements. Heck, I don't even like the baseball minigame, which led me to fully skip his whole subplot, which I'm pretty sure would have pulled at my heartstrings in the same Yakuza fashion at some point. It also doesn't help that pretty much all Yakuza side quests end in the same fashion. At the same time, I can't really fault them because the touching little stories here are truly well done and I just can't imagine Yakuza without them. You see, Yakuza 5 story really sucks. Kinda. It has what I would call the Death Stranding problem, where the themes and characters themselves are really well done and interesting, but the game itself constantly surrounds you in the sea of monotony and needless exposition, that you lose track of what the story really means. Yakuza 5 is about people who've either lost touch with their dreams or are chasing them despite everyone and everything discouraging them not to do so. I know that 5 is generally disliked among the fandom, and for good reason, that fucking ending, Jesus Christ, but it really highlights what the whole series is really about. Yakuza is the only game where you pick up 2 passengers and beat them to death when they don't give you money. It's the only game where you bust your ass and defeat tons of different opponents in a racing minigame only to reunite 3 old friends, and at the end, Kiryu says seeing them happy is the only compensation he needed. The only game where a random passenger says he's rooting for you and tells you not to give up, which really spoke to me during these difficult months. I just can't put my finger on it, but there's something warm and fuzzy about these games despite how badly they try to portray the heinous nature of the villains. Like, in which game would an absolute badass of a main character who's been the 4th chairman of a huge crime organization with 30,000 soldiers say that he'll plant 10 billion kisses on your cheeks? Like, come on. I felt helpless during these past few months. Things led to one another and to misunderstandings, to stress, and so on. But amidst all of these, there was Yakuza, where I started to feel like all the characters are talking to me to not give up and do my best. Holy shit, this is so cringe. And it reminded me of the reasons people decide to fight each and every day. And for that, I'm grateful.
ほんまにそれでええんか。お前ほんまは怖いんとちゃうか。
なんとしてもパクさんの夢を叶えてやらないと。
結局は同じかよ。
私の夢はアイドルになること。
這い上がってまた俺に向かってこい。